Have you ever stood in the heart of a hurricane, feeling the winds of a chaotic world threaten to tear you from your very foundation? Have you ever felt the crushing weight of a mission so vast, a purpose so profound, that the sheer scale of the world's problems makes you feel utterly and hopelessly powerless? This is a paradox known only to the chosen ones, for you were not born to live a small life, and the universe does not test small souls with colossal storms. You are being prepared for something magnificent, but first, you must learn the secret of the storm itself. You feel it every single day. You are a cosmic lightning rod for the world's emotions. The anxieties of the collective, the fears broadcast through screens, the quiet desperation of those around you, it all flows into you. You try to build walls to shield yourself, but your very nature is to feel, to connect, to transmute. This gift, this profound empathy, often feels like a curse. You carry the weight of 1,000 storms that are not your own, and you feel your own light dimming under the strain, your spirit eroding under the constant, torrential downpour of external chaos. And in the quiet moments, a shadow creeps into your heart. It whispers a terrifying lie. It tells you, you are not strong enough for this mission. Look at the world. It is broken beyond repair. What can you, one single soul, possibly do to mend it? You will be crushed. You will be overwhelmed. This purpose you feel is a delusion, a grand fantasy that will lead only to your own destruction. Surrender. Give in. Let the storm take you. This is the voice of powerlessness, the most potent poison to the soul of a chosen one. There is an old story, a parable whispered among the star seeds in the ancient souls. It is not written in any book of men, but etched into the memory of the cosmos itself. It is the story of a man named Caelan, the last in a long line of keepers, who was given guardianship of the great lighthouse of Pharos Minor, a solitary tower built upon a jagged isle of whispering granite at the very edge of the known world. It was said that this lighthouse did not merely guide ships, but that its beam held back a form of ancient, conscious darkness that perpetually sought to swallow the world. Caelan was a man of immense duty and profound sensitivity. He felt the groaning of the sea in his bones and the moods of the sky in his soul. For years, he performed his duties with perfect diligence. He polished the colossal lens until it shone like a captured sun. He kept the great fire fueled and burning with a fierce, unwavering intensity, and he meticulously maintained the clockwork mechanism that turned the light, a rhythmic heartbeat against the encroaching night. He was content in his solitude, for he knew the gravity of his mission. His purpose was clear. His world was the tower, and his responsibility was the light. But the elders had warned him. One day, a storm unlike any other would come. They did not call it a hurricane or a cyclone. They called it the malaise, the storm of whispers. They said it was not a storm of wind and water, but a storm of doubt and despair, a tempest of the soul that could extinguish the most resolute of flames. Caelan, in his youthful confidence, believed his discipline and his commitment were enough. He believed the strength of the granite tower was his own strength, and that he was, like the lighthouse, impervious to any storm. The storm began not with a thunderclap, but with a strange, unsettling silence. The gulls stopped their crying. The waves, usually a chaotic symphony against the rocks, fell into a low, monotonous hum. A thick gray fog rolled in, not from the sea, but seemingly from the sky itself, blanketing the island in a cold, damp shroud. Caelan felt a chill that had nothing to do with the temperature. It was a coldness that seeped into his spirit, a premonition of a profound and terrifying isolation that was about to begin. Then the whispers started. At first they were faint, like the sighing of the wind through a keyhole. But they were not the wind. They carried words. They were the voices of every sailor ever lost to the sea, every mariner who had cursed his fate upon the rocks. They whispered of futility. "Your light is a joke," they hissed. "A single candle against an infinite. The darkness always wins, keeper. It always has." The voices were relentless, seeping through the stone walls, echoing in the spiraling stairwell. Kalen tried to fight back. He worked harder, polishing the lens with a frantic energy, stoking the fire until it roared like a captured dragon. He shouted back at the voices, his own words of defiance swallowed by the growing tempest. But the storm only grew stronger in response to his struggle. The wind now howled, and the waves, no longer humming, crashed against the tower with the force of liquid mountains. Each impact felt personal, a physical blow meant to shatter his resolve. The whispers grew more insidious, more personal. The storm began to project illusions onto the fog. He saw his childhood home, warm and safe, and heard his mother's voice calling him to abandon this foolish, lonely post. He saw visions of a life he could have had, a life of simple pleasures, of love and family, a life free from this crushing, cosmic responsibility. The whispers changed their tune. "You chose this," they mocked. "You chose this prison. You could have been happy. You could have been normal. But your pride, your belief that you were special, has led you to this lonely rock to die." Despair began to take root in Kalen's heart. He felt his energy draining away, his purpose clouding over. The great fire, which he had tended with such care, seemed to shrink, its light appearing weak and pathetic against the suffocating gray gloom. He slumped against the cold stone wall, the keeper's tools slipping from his grasp. The fear, the one he had buried deep within him, finally surfaced. The shadow of doubt had won. He was not strong enough. The elders were wrong. He was not a chosen one. He was just a fool on a rock, waiting for the end. As he sat in the deepening twilight of his own soul, his hand brushed against a loose stone in the floor. He had passed it 1,000 times, but never noticed it. Driven by a final, desperate flicker of curiosity, he pried it loose. Beneath it was a small, hollow space, and within that space lay a small, leather-bound journal, protected by oilskin. It was the journal of the old keeper, his predecessor, the one who had vanished without a trace decades ago. With trembling hands, Kalen opened it. The script was steady, the words clear, as if written in the calm eye of a hurricane. The old keeper wrote not of polishing lenses or fueling fires, but of the inner workings of the keeper's soul. "The tower will always stand," the first entry read. "The granite is strong. The foundation is deep. The real battle is not for the stone, but for the spirit of the one who tends the light. The storm does not want to break the tower. It wants to break the keeper." Kalen felt a shock of recognition. The old keeper had faced this very storm. He read on, devouring the words as a starving man devours bread. The old keeper described the same silence, the same fog, the same insidious whispers. He wrote of his own despair, his own temptation to abandon his post. But then he wrote of a revelation, a secret he called the Keeper's Compact. It was a simple, yet profound philosophy, a sacred agreement with reality itself. It was the key to not just surviving the storm, but mastering it from within. It was the ultimate Stoic superpower, forged in the crucible of absolute chaos. "I spent my first storm fighting," the journal explained. "I screamed at the wind. I cursed the waves. I tried to reason with the whispers. The more I fought the storm, the more of my own strength I fed it. The storm feasted on my resistance, on my anger, on my fear. I was trying to control a force 1,000 times greater than myself, and it was draining the very light from my soul. I was trying to calm the entire ocean, when my only duty was to tend a single flame. The revelation came to me in my darkest hour, the old keeper wrote. I drew 2 circles in the dust of the lantern room floor. One I drew around myself, a small circle just big enough for my own 2 feet. This I called the circle of command. The other circle I imagined encompassing everything else. The entire island, the raging sea, the howling wind, the whispering fog, the infinite sky. This I called the circle of concern. My catastrophic error had been trying to exert my will in the vast, uncontrollable circle of concern. The Keeper's compact is this, the entry continued, to pour every ounce of your energy, your focus, and your will into the circle of command, and to release, with total acceptance, everything that lies within the circle of concern. I cannot stop the waves from crashing, but I can check the foundation for cracks. I cannot silence the wind, but I can secure the shutters. I cannot banish the fog, but I can polish the lens. I cannot stop the whispers of doubt, but I can choose to focus on the rhythm of my own breathing and the steady beat of the turning mechanism. The whispers are the storm's most clever weapon, the journal warned. They are designed to pull your attention out of your circle of command and into the chaos of the circle of concern. They speak of the past, which you cannot change. They speak of the future, which you cannot predict. They speak of other people's choices, which you cannot control. They want you to abandon your post, to leave your small circle of power, and to wrestle with ghosts and phantoms in the raging tempest outside. Do not take the bait. A new energy sparked within Kaelin. It was not the frantic energy of resistance, but the calm, focused energy of understanding. The storm was still raging outside, the whispers still hissing, but something inside him had shifted. He stood up, leaving the journal open on the floor. He looked at his hands, at the Keeper's tools, at the great fire. He saw his world not as a prison, but as a sanctuary of purpose. The storm was not his enemy, it was his teacher. It was a cosmic training ground, designed to forge him into the Keeper he was born to be. He walked to the center of the lantern room and, with a piece of chalk from his pocket, drew a small circle on the floor around his feet. His circle of command. He took a deep breath. He could not control the storm, but he could control this breath. Inhale. Exhale. He could not control the whispers, but he could control the movement of his own hands. He picked up a soft cloth and began to polish the great lens. He ignored the visions in the fog, focusing only on the circular motion of his hand, the satisfying squeak of the clean glass. "You are wasting your time," the whispers shrieked, their voices laced with a new desperation. "The darkness is coming, your light is meaningless." Kaelin did not answer. He simply moved from the lens to the fire. He checked the fuel stores. He calmly and deliberately added another log. The flames leaped higher, brighter. He focused on the warmth against his skin, the smell of the burning oak. This was in his circle. The fire, the warmth, the action. This he could command. He then moved to the clockwork mechanism, the heart of the lighthouse. He checked the gears, oiled the moving parts, listened to its steady, rhythmic pulse. Dick, dog, dick, dog. It was the sound of order in the heart of chaos. It was the sound of his purpose. The storm raged, the illusions flickered, the voices screamed. But Kalen's entire universe had shrunk to this single, sacred circle of duty. The lens, the fire, the mechanism, his breath, his actions. A strange thing began to happen. The storm did not lessen. The waves still crashed with titanic force. The wind still howled like 1,000 vengeful spirits. But the whispers began to lose their power. By refusing to engage, by refusing to leave his circle of command, Kalen was starving them of the one thing they needed to survive: his attention, his fear. The voices of doubt became just noise, like the screeching of gulls or the crashing of waves, a part of the storm, but no longer a part of him. He found a strange peace in the heart of the tempest. He was not fighting the storm anymore. He was dancing with it. The storm had its domain, the vast and chaotic circle of concern, and he had his, the small but absolute circle of command. He was a sovereign king in a kingdom of one, the undisputed master of his own actions and responses. He realized the purpose of a lighthouse keeper was not to defeat the storm, but to keep the light burning within it. Hours passed. The storm threw its worst at him, a final, desperate crescendo of terrifying illusions and venomous lies. It showed him the tower crumbling, the light being extinguished, the world falling into darkness, all because of his failure. But Kalen did not look. He kept his eyes on the work of his hands. He kept his mind on his breath. He had made his compact. He had chosen his circle. He would be the calm anchor in the heart of the raging sea. He was the keeper, and the keeper's work was here. And then, as gradually as it began, the storm started to recede. The wind shriek softened to a mournful sigh. The waves' furious assault calmed into a steady, rhythmic surge. The thick, malevolent fog began to thin, and through a tear in the gray blanket, Kalen saw the first, faint hint of dawn on the horizon. The whispers faded away, not in defeat but in irrelevance. They had no purchase here anymore. The tower was still standing. The light was still burning. And the keeper was still at his post. As the sun rose, casting a golden path across a now tranquil sea, Kalen stood in the lantern room, bathed in the morning light. He was not the same man who had faced the sunset. The youthful confidence had been burned away, replaced by a deep, quiet, and unbreakable strength. He had not conquered the storm. He had conquered himself. He had learned the ultimate secret. True power is not the ability to control the world, but the wisdom to control your response to it. You chosen one are Kalen. This world, with all its chaos, its noise, its endless dramas and manufactured fears, is your storm. The lighthouse is your sacred mission, the unique purpose that only your soul can fulfill. And the storm of whispers is the constant barrage of doubt, distraction, and despair sent to pull you from your post. It is the voice of the matrix, the static of the collective, designed to make you believe you are powerless against the raging sea of circumstance. The story of Kalen is not a myth. It is your instruction manual. The two circles are real. Your powerlessness comes from one single, fundamental error. You are trying to command the storm. You are wrestling with the circle of concern. You are trying to change the minds of others, to fix broken systems overnight, to control global outcomes. You are feeding the storm with your own precious life force, your own divine energy, and it is leaving you exhausted and hopeless. The superpower of the Stoics, the secret of the Keeper's Compact, is realizing where your true domain lies. It is in your response. It is in your focus. It is in your next breath. The chaos of the world cannot touch the core of you unless you allow it to. The whispers of the collective cannot poison your spirit unless you invite them in for conversation. Your mission is not to calm the ocean. Your mission is to keep your own light burning, brightly and defiantly, in the heart of the storm. So this is your alchemical step. This is how you transform the lead of your fear into the gold of your power. Right now, I want you to close your eyes. In your mind, or even with your hands, draw a small circle around yourself. This is your circle of command. Inside this circle, place only 3 things: your very next breath, your emotional response to this moment, and the single next action you will take to serve your mission, no matter how small. Everything else, the news, the future, other people's opinions, the outcome of your work, place it outside the circle. Feel the monumental energetic shift as you do this. Feel the weight lift from your soul as you release the impossible burden of controlling the uncontrollable. The world can rage. The whispers can hiss. It does not matter. Here in your circle, you are sovereign. You are the keeper. Your only duty is to your breath, your response, and your sacred work. This is not apathy. This is the most profound and effective form of action. It is the conservation and precise application of divine energy. Now let us make a vow. This is the new compact for your soul, the promise you make to the universe and to yourself. Repeat this, feel this, become this. I am the keeper of my own flame. I release the storm to its own nature, and I claim dominion over mine. My power is not in changing the world, but in choosing my response to it. In my circle of command, I am absolute. The storm may rage, but the light within me will not falter. This is my work. This is my power. This is my vow. You came to Soul Cipher to decode the blueprint of your soul. This is one of the primary keys. The ciphers are not just in ancient texts. They are living principles that you must embody. This channel is your journal, the wisdom of the old keepers passed down to you. To ensure you receive the next key in your awakening, to continue decoding your magnificent mission, you must subscribe and turn on the notifications. Your journey requires a map, and we are drawing it together, one revelation at a time. Stay the course, Keeper. Your light is needed now more than ever.